Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on, again, a 43-year-old from Ust-Kamenogorsk, Kazakhstan. His hockey journey has taken him to Kazakhstan, Canada, the USA, Wales, England, Germany, and Israel. Also was a third rounder to the New Jersey Devils. And he is a knockout and challenge cup champion with my Cardiff Devils and has won her all in the EPIHL and with the Telford Tigers. He's pretty well ran amok of every league and country he's played in, which makes sense as I've seen he's still got it at Matthew Myers and Josh Batch's testimonials. And he's still doing her with our Cardiff Canucks. Welcome back, Maxim Birbraer.
Hey, the list is growing, huh? I'm glad you all rattled through that.
Yeah,
Pretty much
man.
everything's spot on.
Well, I don't really re-listen to old episodes, but I tell you, man, I didn't know you were famous. Your first episode was listened to over 1,100 times, just the audio.
Oh yeah, well, my kids listened to it about 800, so I guess that's that
That's
boosted it
awesome.
up a bit.
That's what's so cool about this, right? It's your friends and families can hear your story because hockey players usually don't get to talk about what they all have done, right?
Yeah, I was just kidding. I don't let my kids listen to your podcast, to be honest with you.
Am I
He's
saying
eight.
things? Am I saying
He,
things
he,
inappropriate? I'm trying to be a good role model.
he's eight.
No,
They do slip sometimes through the cracks.
I do say some things sometimes that maybe I shouldn't, and I have learned as I've been coaching kids and they've been getting older that now when I'm in under 13 coaching kids, they do in fact listen to me talk. So better clean it up around here.
Same as when I had to clean up the way I speak when the office life started, and when I was trying to do the dressing room banter, it just doesn't work, does it?
You can't say the same things in the real world as you can in the locker room, can you?
Nope.
It's a bit different lingo. You got to be politically correct.
Unfortunately, yes.
Can't tell people what's actually up.
Yeah.
So you are still in the locker room, though. You're still doing at your ripe old age, eh? You just won't give it up.
No, it doesn't seem like it. So I think I've passed Michael Jordan now for the retirements. I'm about 8 retirements in now. Um, Unfortunately or fortunately, God knows what, people still kind of contact me and say, "Hey,
Will you play?
what is the outside chance of playing?" And yeah, the old gear came down again from the attic, and here we go.
Well, I've seen you at the testimonials. I never had the pleasure of playing with you, but I do know what type of guy you are when you get invited back to testimonials. You've been at both of the ones I've been to, Matthew Myers and Josh Batches, and you still got it, man. I mean, you can never shrink, I guess, but you're a big body that can move and shoot.
Yes,
Can you
thanks.
still
Well,
move at this age?
I can still move. The
Yeah, you
problem
can.
is, I do keep up with it in the gym, but it's not the same as skating. The problem is mechanically that it's like you think you're a Ferrari, and and you start taking corners and everything falls apart. So that's kind of like my latest one, where I think my knees just got so many miles into it, and
Mm,
probably needed like a knee replacement for about 5 years.
I understand.
And yeah, it's like just you literally just pivot or do some basic stuff. All of a sudden, it's like, oh,
Uh,
maybe I need to come off
right.
because it's probably bone on bone. Where's
Yeah,
the cartilage?
that is what happened to mine actually. My leg locked when I was in Cardiff because of the cartilage breaking off, and I had like a peg leg. But when I try to skate now, maybe I can do it for a couple minutes, and then all of a sudden the whole leg tightens right up around the knee.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it takes me like I get through the game almost like when it's in the heat of the moment, you kind of deal with it, and
Hmm.
then it takes like 4 to 5 days until next week, and it's just starting to feel again in time for the next game, and then it's a vicious cycle. So I'm like, well,
Hey, at
why?
least you're still doing it, eh?
Yeah. Well, there is incentives. I'm not doing for the love of the game. I love the game as soon as the puck drops, but I just don't love anything outside of it anymore. Like putting on the gear and showing up in the cold like morning or in the cold dressing room and that kind of stuff. But the actual game, when as soon as the puck drops, I get sucked into it.
Oh yeah.
And from that perspective, I still enjoy it.
Yeah, I understand. Near the end of my career playing, I found, it would be a little more difficult to get really pumped up for a year. I guess winning was always what got me into it. But I remember with my knee, you could see the play, and it's like, okay, I gotta do one quick step and get by this guy so I can pass it over there, or I gotta stop up quick so I can throw it through his triangle. And then once you see the play, but your knee won't let your body do it, and you're like,
Yeah,
come on, man, the guy's wide open and I can't stop up quick enough or I can't skate fast enough to actually get around that stick,
yeah,
pisses you right off.
yeah. It takes some adjusting to do. So, but it's big difference now. When you used to run around with like a chicken with head cut off, now you just try to use your brain.
Yeah,
And now, when it's too late, you realize that's what I should be doing about 20 years ago.
you're right.
You
Yeah,
know?
I agree though. When I was playing basically on one leg at the end, I had to be a smarter player and know where to be because I couldn't get there too quick.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you do like your new jerseys though, eh? The Canuck jerseys are pretty sweet, and there is a really cool logo on the shoulders, eh? Did you see that?
Well, yeah, I really like them, especially the logo on the shoulder.
Hmm.
But also it reminds me of the old New Jersey Devils, the classic ones, the colors and the sort of the setup.
And
So
the green pants, man, that really sets you
the
guys apart.
green pants, yeah, we got that green everything, green
That is some
helmets,
sexy stuff, man. That is hockey. Hendo knows what he's
that
doing.
yeah. So we got all the gear, but no idea what's that sign. Yeah, so there's a lot of young kids on the team. I love what Hendo is doing, but it's a definitely multi-year project. There's a lot of guys that want to play, a lot of guys who are hungry. But it's so young, right? Like for me, when I'm 44
Probably
and I'm
skating
getting
around with
dressed,
chickens with their heads cut off, right?
yeah, but I'm getting dressed with the guys who are not even allowed to get dressed with me in the same dressing room. So
Because they're minors.
because of the DBS checks.
You can't shower in your locker room because the
So
kids are
like I
too
have
young.
to so they have to go to like different shower and then get undressed somewhere else because they're just too young. I mean, I'm playing with my ex teammates' kids. Like I'm playing with Stoney's kid,
Oh, Stody. Yeah,
who's
I still haven't
16.
talked to him. Fun story about him I thought was neat was when we retired number 10, which is why I wore number 18 in Cardiff. When we retired number 10 that night, we won 10-0.
That's interesting. I don't remember that one, but now that you said it, something rings a bell. Yeah, he's a man of few words, but he's we call him a grumpy old man. But I think you can pull it out of him. I'm sure you'll have stories for days for
Oh,
you.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's a Devils legend. But what's going on with our Canucks? Are we winning? I'm a big fan. Like I'm a
Yeah,
sponsor
so
of the team, you know?
yeah, I understand. So technically, you're my owner. So
Right.
so I haven't had a call from you yet. Just start giving me the gears, like what's going on. You need to pick it up.
I saw you're still getting a point a game. I thought I'd leave you alone till now.
I hope I'm getting more than a point a game. I don't even know if we have stats, but that's interesting. So yeah, like it's an interesting thing that Hendo started. You know, I'm glad for him, and they're really doing well in terms of kind of bringing it all out to the crowd. You know, we're giving free tickets to the games, and as a result, is literally over 1,000. I think one day we had like close to 2,000 at the game. So for that level, that's unheard of. So that's kind of fun to play on from that
For sure.
perspective.
Yeah.
The level of hockey is obviously. I want to say what I think it's like the one league above the rec. However, the beginning, the trajectory these guys are learning
Yeah.
on and the road they're on is completely unmatched by anybody else because when you compare it to other teams in the league, they're practicing every day. Some guys practicing twice a day because they're also with juniors. And that's reminded me kind of like that's how I started. That gave me that boost before I got drafted. I was with like a hockey school where I was living and but also playing for tier 2 team. And it was like 3 a day sometimes.
And
And
you
at
were
that
just loving
age,
hockey and you wanted to be out there.
exactly. Yeah, you want to be out there, but you have unlimited energy at that age too.
Hmm.
It's like you
Yeah.
don't even need to charge the battery. And it just gives you that boost. So created a really cool sort of situation where if you wanted to, and you really want to progress, that's probably a place to be. Are they there now? Probably not. But a lot of guys really improved.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think
and
the
they're going to
team's
be on the
improved now.
ice with you and Hendo coaching them. Like I found when I would get to leagues and play with guys that were better than me, it helped me get better because I'd see little things they do on the ice, you know?
Well, yeah, 100%. Like Hendo, him obviously. He's got a wealth of experience, and like I said, at first I'm thinking like, what am I doing? You're 44, you're taking risks again, but then ironically, you get sucked into it,
Hmm.
and inevitably you start
Caring.
giving guys tips, right? And you're starting to care. So I now develop like, I don't want to say love for the club because obviously it's only been a few months, but
Right.
you give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
And
when you see kids getting better and you can see potential in kids, it can really fire you up because it's like me coaching under 13 kids. And like I have 3 guys I've been with for 3 seasons now. And to see how good they are at hockey now, and that I got to be there with them through the 3 years and watch this happen, it's like, oh my gosh, I do care a lot.
well, exactly. But that's the whole thing I'm kind of leading to. I might sound like, the level is not great, well, what am I doing? But end of the day, and that's gonna sound corny, it's kind of like rewarding. Am
Yeah.
I getting
Yeah.
too old? But it is rewarding, and especially for the guys who constantly coming up and asking questions, literally constantly. What do I do here? Does that play kind of look good to you? Like, is there a better player of doing it? And some guys, well, most guys on that team actually, they're like sponges, and they actually, they receive the information and they want it.
Yeah.
So when they do that, and then you see the results, it is kind of rewarding. So you've done something good for the day, hopefully.
Yeah.
Even if the one of them is kind of really makes a difference for them, as they say, that's all that kind of matters. So
I totally agree, man. And I've found it interesting because, I am helping like the senior team here. Like it's coaching adults that can all play hockey. Like we got a squad, we're 10-0. But like when I go to practice and I run the practices, like there's guys that have come up to me and be like, can you like coach me and like tell me when I do things that and what I should do better? Because when you first start out, you don't want to step on anybody's toes and you don't want to be too much the coach guy. You want to get in with the team before you start telling people what to do. But then when they tell you, like, please tell me what to do all the time, and I'm like, oh, okay, I will then.
yeah, exactly. And it's the same situation here. And I realize that hopefully they're benefiting from it. And it's an all around kind of win also. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to if he continues with it, and they kind
Yeah,
of have
see where
this
it can go.
interesting system to kind of progress within, you go to the next league, and they trying to build this pathway, right, to go to the elite league.
Yeah.
And it's hopefully looks like it might be working. So
Yeah,
a
they
couple
would.
of guys
It,
showing some
you
prospect.
guys could be very proud, you and Hendo, if any of those puppies ended up playing in the elite league, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a Hendo thing, that's why I said in the beginning. It's funny you mentioned that. I didn't want to say anything. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. You got your coach who's more than capable,
Hmm.
you know. And then after the first practice, which was really rough, I was like, "Do you mind if I stop the practice?" If I mention, because I feel like if I don't say anything, I'm not helping anyone, right?
Right. If you let things slide, then they slid.
Yeah, yeah, and then he's doing a good job as well. So he's doing it from the office, and I'm kind of like,
In the
I can
room.
be in the room, but I can see
You
everything
just can't
between.
shower with them.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh my God. Well, the couple guys that I've chatted with from the Canucks do not know what Chippy Lane is. Have you cleaned this up around the room? The boys don't know what Chippy Lane is. What kind of league is this?
It's an unfortunate situation because most of the guys are too young for Chippy Lane, and I'm getting too old. I'm in a no man. They're in the no man's
Dude,
land.
you never are too old for Chippy Lane. Ever.
well,
You
well,
can
no,
you can see you can see people older than you that have shat themselves or puking. There's
yeah.
lots of things on there for older folks.
Well, the thing is, I've cleaned it up, and now I have 2 kids. To be honest, I just don't have the time. I just don't go out in Cardiff anymore.
I
It's more of
understand.
I'm more of a like a local pub guy now that just kind of
Yeah.
times would try to carve out a couple of hours with an old friend like one time a month or something.
Right.
Um, Whereas I used to live on a Chippy Lane.
It's
In
a
fact, some
Devils
guys have a
staple, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like that was a must. They like it's just like a no questions asked. You have to pop by Chippy Lane and just get your stuff.
Oh, yeah,
But
well, Saturday night game, all the fellas
yeah,
have to win a game and then hit Chippy Lane.
yeah, but we have a big gap. We have a problem. Some guys are too young to go to Chippy Lane, and I'm too old, or just my time has passed.
I get, yeah, I guess the only people invited Chippy Lanes are the guys you can shower with.
At least.
The last time you came on, I did get some feedback from some folks that listen that just couldn't believe your story and your time in Israel. Fun fact was my buddy is the coach of Team Israel, and my former teammate and Kazi from Helbron is the captain. So I've had the coach and the captain on of Team Israel, and we were ranked #1 in Israel for weeks at a time, both times I had them on, and it was really cool. But then I got in contact with the guy that runs the league over there, and he says they're coming to the Toronto area and invited me to play for Team Israel.
Well, that's the thing with Israel. They'll just take anyone, right?
They'll
They just
take even a fat guy with one leg.
they'll give you a passport too, as long as you go to the army.
Dude, I'm not going to the army like you did.
Well, you have an excuse too, right?
So I know we talked about it last time, but for the folks that are new listeners, can you tell the story about how you ended up in military jail in Israel?
Not somewhere I wanted to end up, but
Mhm.
they're very clever. Like I didn't spend that much time in Israel. I only spent like a year in Israel as a 16-year-old, and then I went as a 17-year-old, went to Canada, and then eventually my passport was kind of like about to expire, so I needed to extend it. And then I guess they make it very cleverly. They make that the passport expires on your 18th birthday. So they have some sort of control. And as you know, who doesn't know, in Israel, it's a mandatory 3-year service that you have to go and serve in the army, and the girls have to go for 2. So I didn't even realize this when I was playing junior in Canada. I was receiving letters. My parents didn't tell me about it. The invitation to join the army. And they said, I went to an embassy in Toronto to extend my passport. And I said, yeah, that's no problem. Just got to fly back. We have to do it on your 18th. You got to do it in Israel. So at the time, I didn't click, but that was definitely a trap. So as soon as I landed, I ended up going through passport control, and a couple of guys came from behind and shoved the handcuffs on, and off we went. Waiting for my bags and the carousel. The bags came out, but it was no sight of me, obviously. Next thing you know, I'm calling my dad from got my call, I'm calling my dad and saying this is the situation. So I ended up spending a night in the army jail, basically. And then kind of like 6 or 7 in the morning, they had this what is called court, but really it was just an officer with an admin person saying, by the way, you're AWOL. You haven't reported to go to the army, and you're over 18, and which at the time I actually had no clue about it. And they basically said, "Well, you need to go to the army." And I said, "I just came down to extend my passport. I got a big hockey career ahead of me. Like I'm not going to the army, So
And I've been living in Canada.
and then they're saying, well, because also, if you go to school, for example, like university or any schooling, they will delay the service for you. So you can go to uni, do your degree, and then go to the army. So I said that's what I was anticipating to do. And obviously, I had no proof on me of any of that. So they said, no, it's kind of standard. Try to pull the Israeli national team card saying I'm the big daddy with the Israeli national team. And they said, well, that doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Literally, there's no exception. You have to go to the army. So I said, I'm not doing that. So I said, okay, well, there's a choice between you go to the army or you go to jail. So I picked the latter. So, so luckily, I managed to establish some relationships while I was there with the kind of the Russian contingency, and because there was probably the biggest group of of people in there was with Russian background. So they made me feel at home, and luckily, one guy explained to me what my options are. So after a couple of months, I had to write a letter to the government explaining that I've changed my mind and I will go to the army. And then when I went to the army, then I had to do the boot camp and everything. And mentally, I just couldn't cope with it. And eventually, after a few escapades and a few hurdles that I got to jump through, they kicked me out of the army and gave me the boot, and then went back to Canada.
How long did that all take till you got the boot?
Well, altogether with the jail and the army, it was around 4 months. So that was exactly the off season. So that was my off season. Before my
I guess the
year,
boot camp would have got you in shape for the season.
well, but that's the thing. When I flew back, one of my last games of the season, I ended up breaking my ankle. So I was just had the cast off my ankle, and I went in. It's like my ankle was still hurting me. So I realized that potentially I could go back. Like get out from the army and go back to playing hockey. I said, if there's going to be a preseason, if I ever have a chance to play, this is my off season. So I got to do something. So when we were there during the boot camp, I've asked for, like, for example, if we were running hills and, you have your troop or whatever. So someone has to carry the extra, for example, 3 items. One is like a massive water jug, stretcher, and the radio. They're like between 20 and 30 kilos each. So I would always ask for one of them. So I would be doing the hill sprints with my broken ankle with like a water jug or a radio. So that was my preseason. And that's the season where I ended up actually just making in time when I got kicked out from the army. I got one of the first planes back to Shelburne, Ontario. Newmarket. That's who I was signed with, and had my last season. And that's where I ended up leading the league in goals and getting drafted by New Jersey. And I think at the time it was the second ever person to get drafted from that league, because it wasn't really OHL or Dub or
No, it was Tier
anything
2
like that.
Junior A, and you went third round to the NHL.
Yeah. So the life, like 12 months going from jail, Israeli army, like trying to run around and do something, on the broken ankle type thing, and then getting drafted. So that was crazy 12 months.
When you said escapades and hurdles to get out, though, it was like, because I remember Marshy telling me your story when I played with him, and I thought he mentioned something about like you did everything backwards for a bit so they think you're crazy.
Well, I think I was crazy. So the stuff that, there's a lot of people trying to by not being in the army on grounds of not being mentally fit or physically fit or whatever it is. And the thought of like losing, basically my life turned upside down. Like I thought I was going to be playing ice hockey again, and next thing you know, I'm dream is shattered. Not only that, but I'm like sitting there in jail. So it was a crazy few months, and I think I mentally went off the rails, and I didn't have to fake much.
Right, because well, when you're a kid and your life is hockey and that's your passion, and then all of a sudden you're put in jail and you're like, what's happened to my dream that I'm chasing, right?
Well, exactly. Like I don't know. Like I would just lay there in the bed one and just stare in the darkness, and I'm like, what's happened? Like it took a while to process it, and then like where do you go from there?
Yeah.
So you either just kind of give up and then do what you've been asked to do, or you try to change it. And luckily I managed to change it. So yeah, for example, like because of so many people trying to justify their way out on the mental grounds, it's hard to get in an appointment with,
right. Yeah,
with an army shrink, whoever signs you off. So you have to show, you got to demonstrate some extreme
behavior,
mental issues effectively or behaviors to get an appointment, to have a conversation. So yeah, like one day I was doing everything backwards. For example, like when you were eating, I was like spitting it out, or just literally doing everything backwards. The spot, like you could, or like I would wake everybody in the barracks at 3 a.m. and like staring guys and like right in their face, like freaking them out so that they complain about me. Yeah, like I would be shouting that I have bugs crawling up my nose and my ears, like just
Yeah, yeah. having
kind of stuff.
unusual behavior, and then you got an appointment.
Yeah, then I got an appointment. Yeah, like I had to do drastic things.
Well, and isn't it weird to think of how different your life would have been if you didn't get out?
Yeah, like for example, like, and that wasn't work.
On, game back on, internet, whatever, it can drop sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where we were. We were talking about, yeah, in the
Yeah,
barracks and the
just the
Bucks.
basically, yeah, just the drastic thing that I had to do. Like I had to the final one before they actually gave me the appointment to have a conversation. Like I had to threaten people. Like I, you know,
You yeah, you had to push the envelope to actually make it
I had
happen.
to push that envelope to the thing. So yeah, now thinking back, knows what. Luckily, people didn't react to it in the similar way what I was proposing. So
Right.
now I'm thinking, yeah, well, what if they try to threaten me back? Or actually did?
Right. Then when
So,
you're in one.
yeah, yeah. So, but we crossed our bridge. Now we think about it and laugh about it, right? So
Yeah. And speaking of that story though, you do that and then you go to Newmarket and play tier 2, which most guys are trying to get like scholarships or make the OHL from. But you get drafted 3rd round to the NHL right from there. And the next season you go straight to the AHL. So you go from tier 2 junior right to the AHL. That ain't
yeah,
normal.
no, and it's maybe it happened too fast. Luckily, I mean, I guess I had the ability. Like it, the thing
That's
just
got to be one
escalated.
of the biggest jumps in like hockey history, going from that league to the AHL. That's got to be one of the biggest jumps
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. So but again, I didn't know at the time. And as a kid, effectively, when you're 18 or whatever I was, 18, 19, the things, they just keep happening, one thing after another. And it's so easy to cut up into it. And you're just so immature about it, too. And, like I was the youngest player in the league.
Right.
I was like coming off from tier two, but I was youngest player in the A that year. Next thing you know, the first preseason game, somehow I score a hat trick playing against Wilkes-Barre. Next thing you know, by the end of the preseason, next thing you know, I'm in the ESPN magazine. They predicted me to be Rookie of the Year in the A. So next thing you know, I'm playing like I'm running the power play on the point game. Like, what is going on?
I'm almost in the NHL.
Like I'm there. Like I'm going pricing up cars. Like so 10 games later. So like I think I was like I think I had like 10 points in 10 games. The first like I was on something like that. Like
You
maybe
were
not a point a
feeling it,
game.
full of
I was
confidence.
feeling it. I'm playing with the guys I had no business playing with, like Ferraro, like my line mate. I was like, what's going on? Then I didn't get the puck out of the zone on the wall 2 or 3 times, and then they score on one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get to sit for a shift. Then all of a sudden I didn't get the puck out again. I get to sit for 2 shifts. Then they're like, okay, well, defensive play needs to improve, and worst possible team for someone like me who like cherry picked 50 goals, like led the league in shorthanded goals in tier two, who just kind of like just been told go and score as many goals as you can, to go
Yeah.
to New Jersey Devils to play trap and concentrate on defense. And to me, it was just like, what's this?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, if I had to tell young kids to learn a lesson is game, from build it from the back.
Yeah. It's
How to
true
play
though.
defense. Know how to play defense because that's going to hold you up, and that's potentially will close some doors, which arguably in my case it did.
I
Um,
Man, you're hitting home with me because I mean, I was, I in junior, like same as you, I led the league in scoring and broke the record for goals, and then go to Western Michigan, and you know, I I I guess they weren't telling me to worry too much about defense, and then they were telling us to play man on man, which made no sense. But then I went to the AHL, and that's your window. After my senior year, is you get to the AHL, and there's your window to show what you can do. The first practice we ever had, we're doing in zone, D zone, and covering Andy Delmore, who had just like led the league in points by a D-man. And he starts skating all over the zone, and I start chasing him everywhere. And the coach blows the whistle and is like, "Wally, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Not man on man around here, or what's going on?" And then from that day on, he couldn't trust me. So then I never really got a fair shake. I was never on a power play. I was never on a top line. And my AHL career shows that. 19 games played, 0 points, 1 fight.
Yeah.
But now the first practice of the year when I coach, I go over D zone right away. And that is what I care about, is defense first all over the ice. And when I see these kids buy into that and play defense first, it warms my heart, because I feel like they can play anywhere then, because they know what to do in their own end. And my goalie, it's not even Christmas yet. My goalie just got his 11th shutout.
Well, it just, I feel like, what's the word?
You live and you learn.
No, contradicting yourself. Like, I remember like the younger days when you play and the coach is on you and all he's care about is the little things and the defense. And you're like, oh, just shut up. Just let me play. Just let me loose, like, and now I am trying to tell the kids the same thing. They were telling me that I used to laugh at, and now I'm expecting a serious reply. So I feel like absolute muppet trying to preach, and I can just feel, I can hear it in my voice what they're thinking in their head, saying, just shut up.
Yeah.
Like,
let me go score.
Who cares about the little things?
But you do have to actually win, though. You have to get people to buy into the little things and playing defense first and doing it for the team, right?
I've heard that many times. Never did it.
Well, just so you know, the Cardiff Canucks were all Ontario champions last year,
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I was saying, not like I never wanted to do it. I just didn't concentrate. Like, to me, it wasn't as important. It's like your parents telling you to do the right thing when you're 16, and it's literally in one ear and out the other. And now I'm sitting there doing the same thing with my kids and saying, "Oh, I wish they listen," and get frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I guess sometimes you gotta let people fall down so they can get back up, though, right?
Well, yeah. Hopefully they don't hurt themselves when they fall down, but.
So you ended up in Shelburne. I know we've talked before and we probably covered all this, but you were born in Kazakhstan, and I remember you telling minor hockey stories about Kazakhstan. So how long did you live there?
So I was born and raised in Kazakhstan until I was 16. Then immigrated to Israel. When I turned just 17, I think, I came to Canada. I did 2 years in Shelburne and 1 year in Newmarket, and Newmarket was the last year junior.
Okay. Because I remember playing in the Continental Cup in Denmark with Sunderjuski, and there's a Kazakhstan team there. And I watched their practice because they're there for like a couple days before the tournament starts. And I went and watched their practice, and I tell you, it was so different than the ones I run. I didn't see anybody smile. I didn't see anybody laugh. I didn't see anybody joke around and like have fun. They were working, and they were all business.
Well, I tell you something that I know from firsthand experience. You're literally not allowed to smile.
I don't know if I'd be a hockey player then.
That's partially why I was happy to leave. I gotta be honest. It's way too state. We say it's way too serious. They think it's the way to go. The more serious you are, the more successful you're going to be. If you're sitting there and the coach walks in the room and you're smiling, like, I literally got kicked by my coach in the shins. You know, the gap between the kneecap and like the main thing. There used to be a gap in the shin pad between like the kneecap and the shin.
Right, and right where you're supposed to put the tape.
Yeah. So my coach used to, like, he would kick you right there on purpose, knowing that it's gonna hurt there. Like, he would physically hurt us. If I tell you now what was happening in my dressing room, and you do that here now, that would be like,
you go to jail.
Like, well, that's assault. Like, like, but that back in the day, and given the location where it was happening, it was completely normal. The parents would observe that, and then on top of that, the coach coach would two-hand you on top of the head. He cracked the guy's helmet in half one time. Like literally two-handed a guy on top of the head with his stick. And guess what? The kid's parents were there, and they came down from the bleachers, told the kid more shit. They said, you need to listen to the coach.
Or you're gonna get two-handed in the head.
They were scared he's gonna get kicked out from the team. So it's just the culture, right? Like
Cultures are a thing, man. Every team has a different culture, and
the culture is completely different, and they would train you to the ground. You know, we had the lead vests that we gotta wear, like, and I'm not sure how effective they are because they would like break your skates down.
You'd have to really love hockey then to really want to pursue it and get into it if it's not fun.
Well, it's just when is the payoff? But also, the payoff back in the day, you weren't allowed to leave and go play in North America either, right? So like, I didn't understand what the payoff is. So anyway, it's just really, really, really bizarre, and yeah,
be a totally different culture than the teams I've been coaching, because what like they say, the more business you are, the more success you have. I personally think the more fun you have, the better you play, and the more you want to get better because you just love it so much and you think it's so much fun. So my boys have fun, and I mean, before games to decide my starting lineup, sometimes I have moo-offs where you get on all fours and moo at each other, and whoever laughs loses, and then whoever wins the moo-off gets to start that night.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. Like, it's just common sense, right? Like, if you enjoy something, there is time to work hard too, right?
Oh, there's also play time and there's go time.
Yeah, and then there's also like time to enjoy and do this, but you can do the hard work in an enjoyable way. Mm-hmm. However, the other thing is in something like in Eastern Europe, for example, or Kazakhstan or Russia, they keep a short leash on players, and for a reason. They know if they loosen the leash, we're gonna lose half the guys for like a week because they're gonna end up on the bender.
Right.
Like they will just go and get like you can't. That's why you don't get the days off. So knowing that they are trying to get the guys accountable and always on their toes. As soon as they let the leash loose, like there's wives calling to the team saying, "I haven't seen my husband in 2 days." You know, like what's going on?
But it's
so they would rather work you hard rather than give you do you know what I mean?
Well, I do know what you mean, because I think if you have a long leash to begin with, then you understand where to go and when it ends, and you know when it's time to go, and you don't need people to tell you. When you have a short leash and then finally it gets long, you go running. And it was the same for us at Western Michigan, man. They would work the crap out of us like all season, and then when we were all breaking down from all the hard work, then all of a sudden they give us a weekday off of practice because they think we need to recover. And there wasn't a guy on the team that recovered that night.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is like, you can't really threaten guys with by other means, like you're going to lose your contract, because if you're not getting paid that much, then you can't really hold the contracts over your head, can you? But like if you're really on the good money, then you got things to lose.
Yeah, so, it's true.
So maybe that's another kind of element of it.
Well, you've lived an interesting life, and isn't it interesting how every country you go to has a different culture of playing hockey, and like they are all different?
Yeah, literally, I want to say every country that I went to had, you know, a different culture. But for me, it was a benefit because by the end of it, I kind of like seen it all and tried it all, and you take away
what you want to.
So I think in my mind, I was like, well, let's take positives out of every kind of situation that I've been on, and you build on it, and you know, I'm still playing. So something I've learned something. What is it? I don't know. But,
okay, well, this question's for Chris Frank. He's a big shed enthusiast, and my brother from the Western Michigan Broncos that I played against in the UK, and he tried to kill me, and I tried to crush his testicle. I asked a guy what his favorite drill is in practice, Samuel Tremblay, and he gave me a great drill, and I did it in practice the next day. Chris Frank did it with his team out in Washington, and I thought, yeah, that's hockey. People learning from each other and getting better at it, and that is why like talking to so many guys about hockey is then I learn stuff for coaching my kids. So what is your favorite drill in practice?
Oh, my favorite drill's got to be eight pass.
Eight pass.
Well, have you heard of eight pass?
No, what's that? You just passing the puck around?
Well, it's obviously involved eight passes.
Yeah, there's
So,
probably eight of them.
so it's the four blue line. You're on blue lines, four blue lines.
Yeah.
Zone. And you do a 2-0. So you can do like kind of regroups.
Right. And
But
all the four guys at the start of each line are zipping it around while the two guys kind of do a loop in the neutral zone.
well, it's another version of it when you can throw, but then you don't get the eight passes really. But it's a certain line that you kind of tic tac toe and throw around. You fly around and you just step in it and you just let loose. Hopefully, passing it on the tape. So there's four guys involved in it. So you don't stand around too much. You're constantly involved, and you skate, and it's kind of like an enjoyable drill. There's no stop and start.
Stopping and starting sucks.
It's one of those starting drills in the practice that I like personally. It just sets you up for the rest of the
Because you feel like you're skating fast and the boys are zipping it
yeah.
around.
And there's a lot of hollering going on. If the teams actually have a clue and they like talking, everybody's kind of picking up, each other, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I think if you set the tone, like the rest of the practice sometimes just carries on with that. So yeah, that's why I kind of like it for many aspects.
Okay. No, I'm pretty sure I know the drill and what we're doing here. Okay. Fair enough. I like mucking it up. I like when the boys like compete, but when you talk about when a team's into it, I get a kick out of watching our practices now because my guys are only an under 13, but they have no problem holding each other accountable. It's like if a kid turns it over at a blue line, the boys will be like, "Hey, that has to go deep." And I'm like, "Oh, you're listening."
Man, this is the number one conversation on daily, if not every 2 minutes, with where we are now with Canucks and Trevor, and like it's and that's what it is. They're so young, and this is where you're trying to lay the foundation. And I spoke to Trevor, and I said I think we need to go like way into basics, like get the puck in the class kind of thing. And they're better and better, and they've made so much progress, and they've just helped the game. Like they can just see now they can actually compete with other teams.
Well, and the basics are what build a team. Getting the puck deep and not turning it over, and getting it out of your end. With my age group, my D a lot of times just want to always make that pass to the winger. Every breakout, you're always trying to pass to the winger, like no matter what. Even if the D man's pinching down on him, he's covered. So last practice, we practice shooting it off the glass and out to the winger going.
No, not if you ask me. When I was 16, I would have just said, give me the puck and I gotta try to beat guys, like four guys getting out of the zone, then beat another three guys.
I know what you mean though. When I went to Germany and I was feeling it the first year, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an import and I got to score, and it'd be like a 1-on-4, and you try
Yeah.
to beat everybody.
Yeah.
And then you come to the bench and the coach is like, hey, but you thought you were gonna skate through four guys? I'm like, I don't know, tried to.
Oh, I thought I did.
Came close.
Yeah.
So you how did you get to Cardiff in 2006-7? Like, so you went there, played there a long time. You're a legend there, and it was before my time ever. But how did you ever get there originally? And I think it was 2006.
So you literally came in when I went out, and you come in a few months later. It was the whole brand new
Did I take your job?
Actually, you could have said, but I think Lorda just kind of decided to put a stamp on the team when he took over. He pretty much cleared house.
Chris Blight tells me that I took his job, and I'm sorry, Chris, because I really like you, but I needed a job too.
Well, it's professional ice hockey. Like you better have lights out, or somebody else is going to be lights out. So
and I always say, like, if you lose, they change things. If you win, they keep things. And I know the last season before Lordo took over, there was financial problems. It was different owners. I heard some stories of fans boycotting, and it didn't sound that fun. And then when you lose, they want to change things, right? Even if you play well.
Well, I came to Cardiff basically, I had a knee reconstruction to repair the ACL and meniscus and everything after my last year with Long Beach. I pretty much missed most of the year. And it was a point now when I was turning like 20, I was 25, and I'm thinking, okay, well, do I stick it out in the coast, or in the A somewhere and try to chase that NHL dream still, or I kind of like just go to Europe for a complete change of scenery, complete switch, trying to kind of just make money, and just
And have
test it out
fun.
and fun, and yeah, and just I did that. So I was supposed to sign with Manchester, that fell through, and then I had a call from Cardiff. Are you interested? At that point in time, I never heard of Cardiff. Like I didn't know what where that was, or what really didn't know much anything about Wales.
Yeah.
When I came in, on top of that, I was late a couple of weeks because of visa, and by the time I came in, we were driving from the airport, and the guy's like, "Well, this is our rink, we're pulling in," and I'm like, "Well, there is no rink. There's four massive pillars. So, like, what is this? It's a construction site." He's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it'll be finished in 3 weeks." So I didn't even know. It's not something that I thought I'd check if they had the ring. Like when I show
So
up, we
they
didn't
were
have a
just
ring.
building the big blue tent then?
Yeah, and they didn't finish it till Christmas. So for 4 months,
You played road
for
games?
like 3 or 4 months, we played all road games, and we practiced a couple times a week in Bristol.
Oh,
So
I did the practices in Bristol at one point for some reason too.
yeah, so the second part of the year, we played all the home games. So for 4 months,
It's just home
played home
games.
games, and I had the time of my life.
That would be awesome.
Um, Believable. So I guess I got sucked in and kind of like never went back.
Well, and we talk about every country has different cultures in hockey. I had the most fun playing hockey I had was in Cardiff, Wales. It was the guys on the team, it was the fans in the arena. Um, and there weren't as much expectations on us that year after I think they had finished ninth the year before. And there weren't that many expectations. So like every win was, just gravy on top. And then when we went on a heater the second half of that year, it was electric around that big blue tent. And yeah, the fans and the teammates you get in Wales, man, there's nothing like them. And I guess we know that because we went back to those testimonials, and Batchy and Matthew Myers filled locker rooms just full of absolute dandies, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a well-known place for people, and the way they kind of treat the players, and you know all about the nightlife in Cardiff. People are nice. Chippy Lane doesn't hurt. So when you being appreciated and you having a good time, like I was saying, having a good time,
Then you could
it
play
gives you
better.
extra lift. I just think really miserable. Let's say we had that culture of just being miserable and just all work, no fun. I don't think I probably would have stayed.
Yeah.
You never know. Probably wouldn't have been here.
Well, and that you are in Cardiff now, eh? Like that's your home. You've been there like pretty well since
Well, that's it.
2006. You
I'm
did
pot
go a couple times, but
committed. I'm pot committed. I got I love my wife, two kids, house, fans, dog. Lucky I have a fans in it. In Kazakhstan didn't have a fans. So I got security.
uh, well, one time you did leave the Devils. You went to Russia too for Kazank Torpedoes for half a season, and then ended up with the Hellbronner Falcons. And I was in the league that year, but that was the year I hurt my knee and I was done. But I ended up playing for them and Rico Rossi, who would have been your coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had a chat about it last time, didn't we? So
Mm.
yeah, like the the situation in Kazakhstan, I went to dabble. I went back to my hometown where I learned how to play hockey and grew up. So that was my dream. And my grandfather was alive at the time, so I thought that's a great idea. And then there's some money was floating around back in the day. All of a sudden, in these leagues, like when the KHL started, and the second league in the VHL started to pay some money, and I just couldn't say no. I had a really good offer, basically like on triple money what I was making in well, more than triple money, I think, than I was making in Cardiff. So I was like, well, to be honest, I have no choice but to go.
Yeah.
Um,
Money can
so that
talk.
experiment. Yeah, so the experiment didn't really work out because as soon as I got there, the recession during, I don't know if you remember, it was a big recession around the world.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, our sponsors, who was like a factory doing like the zinc, I think, or precious metals thing, the price of them dropped, and there's people being laid off from the factory, and that was our main sponsor. So you can imagine there's a lot of pressure on lowering the budget. So everybody being asked for pay cuts, and to be honest, I wasn't willing to be miserable
And not get paid.
and not get paid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I went to my agent and said, there's an opening in Heilbronn if you want to just go there and finish the year, and I did.
Hmm.
So yeah,
That's actually where my son was born, in Helbron. Small world, eh?
really,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. But it was an interesting culture on that team. I don't know if we've really talked about it on here before, but I don't know if it was happening when you played there. I know a couple of the guys were there then, but they were back in the second league in Germany those days. There was not video review for goals and assists. There, well, the captain would take a sheet to the ref at the end of the game, say, here's the real goals and assists. And in Landshut, in Bietigheim, we always got it right. The goals and assists were what they were supposed to be because the people earned them, and that's who's supposed to get them. When I went to Heilbronn, you could say, well, there was a couple extra apples dished out, and it generally went to the same guys. And I thought, this is interesting because usually I try to lead a team in scoring when I'm on the team, and sometimes it was difficult when people would just get extra ones for fun. And it's like, wow, this is weird.
Who was
I
the getting?
doesn't
Oh,
matter.
come on,
I'm not gonna
because I
say
have a
names.
suspicion. I
I
wonder if there's the guys that I played with there.
there was, well, the one guy I don't think was on the team when you were there. One of them was, but I did look just to see. But I do remember there was a trip back from a game. There's two moments I remember. There was one time in the neutral zone, guy passes it up to me, bump it to a guy, he goes in and scores, and I go to the bench, and some guy tried to tell me it was his assist, and I was like, pardon? He's like, well, I'm owed one from last game, and I'm like, what's that? You want to take mine because you're owed one from last game? I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then we had another guy whose first year over there. He ended up becoming a captain. Now he's coaching in Austria. He was a first year over there, and he found out what was going on, man. He laid into a guy on the bus so bad on the way back from a game. It was so awkward, and I don't like controversy, but he sure put him in his place. And then it was weird. Come the end of the year, he just didn't have as good a year as he usually did.
No, now that you say it was a bit weird. And again, it was just a slightly different culture. I don't know. Again, by the end of the year, actually, I liked Heilbronn. That's something that I wanted to stay. But it was like I say, situation. I feel like they cleared house. They literally get rid of all of the imports from the
All
year
of them.
before because
You
we
didn't win.
didn't do well in the playoffs.
Yep.
Just reload it.
Same thing happened to us. We were supposed to be good, finished 7th, got put out first round, and went in for my exit meeting. They said, hey, you had a really good year. You played really well, but you know how it is. We lost, so we're going to get all new imports. And I'm like, got to be tough to build a real good culture around here if you just give up everybody every year.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
There you go.
But after that season, then you go back to the Devils for 4 years.
Yeah, I go back to the Devils and just kind of felt like coming home. I had that feeling. I was like, you know what? I can always go back there. And
and you know what you're going to get. You know it's going to be fun.
Exactly. So exactly what you just said. You know what you're going to get. I feel great that let's just go and see what happens. And yeah, ended up kind of spending lots of years there.
You did win the KO Cup. I guess that's the Knockout Cup and the Challenge Cup that one year. But Richie just played his 1,000th game just for the Devils, eh?
Yeah, I don't think I've done anything with the Challenge Cup. I think from memory, I only won the Knockout Cup. The funny story about that is that, because remember I said we played on the road, won that cup all of the games, including the actual knockout.
You
So
played every game on the road to win that because you didn't have a
yeah,
rink yet.
yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting fact about that
That
one,
is weird.
which makes it more special. That was
Yeah.
incredibly hard to do. And
Winning
at
on
the
the road
time, it
is
was
harder than at home.
the Coventry was a powerhouse of the league and big nemesis of ours, and we won the final game there 3-0 to win the thing. So yeah,
That would have been fun. Another
that
guy
was
that you actually played with, that I could just, I mean, I could picture him out there. I've played against him in testimonials. I actually fought him in one. But Franny, he would have been a little rat out there, eh?
he was. But to
Hmm.
be honest, that's all he does, isn't he? He's just like a little. I'm gonna do little things, and I'm gonna get under your skin, and I'm gonna create the buzz. And you need these guys on the ice. And then, to be honest, Franny will do anything it takes for whether it's on the ice or off the ice to benefit the team. And
He's
that's
still doing it.
well, why do you think he's around?
Yeah,
Because
because he'll do
every
anything.
team, every year, they wanted him around.
Yeah,
And he was a big part of the club when I was there, before me and after. So
it's true though. He's a
hats off to him.
staple of the Cardiff
Hats
Devils.
off to him, yeah.
Yeah, and funny because I'm still in contact with him, and one of the guys I'm coaching on the Ripley Wolves this season, Ethan Skinner, when he was still playing pro, he was in talks with Cardiff and going there, and it was Scaldy that was going to be bringing him, and then he got canned, and then it never happened. But I'm coaching this guy, man, and he is like exactly who you need on a team. And he's like having another coach on the bench. He says all the right things to his teammates. He holds everybody accountable, says what they needed to do, what they shouldn't have done. And it's awesome coaching this guy. And I wrote to Franny, I said, dude, if you guys would have got him to Cardiff, you would have never let him leave. And it's just weird how the different zigs and zags in a career, that it changes your life. Like you think about all you guys that went to Cardiff and never left and got hitched and got married and have kids, and it's like Hendo, you like it's crazy.
There's loads of good.
The places you sign and play can change your whole life.
Definitely. But the guys like kind of like a Swiss knife guys, there's a big part of that, and a big reason why.
Oh yeah, and the people that they keep around, there's reasons for it, and you were around for a long time. But another guy that was a legend that played on that team when you won something, I think, Brad Voth, I've heard about him forever. He had 40 points that year and 288 penalty minutes.
Yeah, he was a powerhouse. I mean, there's a reason why his shirt is retired now as well. He was there, I think, the year or two before me, pretty much throughout all my time in Cardiff. I think maybe left like with 1 year to go. Yeah, he was a big guy. He was a machine. He was a force in blue tent because he was so big. He could move. He can actually score too, and he can hit. And for
Cardiff
us, we were
loves
like,
that stuff.
oh yeah, we were like Green Bay Packers. Like we just wouldn't lose at home
Right.
because our ice was crap. The rink was tiny. Fans were on top. It was a hostile atmosphere. You had players to go with it. Nobody really wanted to come in on a cold day and just play us. The problem was going on the road.
Right.
That's where our average would drop.
Well, I totally understand it because when I played at Western Michigan and you play in front of the Lawson Lunatics, and it's the whole side of the arena is students that get in for free that are outrageous and the funnest fans going, and then you go on the road and they're not there with you, and man, we'd win at home and then we would just get smashed on the road.
Just couldn't really cope with a bigger ice. Quality of ice as well. Like
it's a different game. It's totally different switching back and forth. It's like you play in the big blue tent, then you go to Nottingham or Belfast for a game. It's not even the same game.
Yeah. I don't remember getting any points in Nottingham throughout my career. I don't understand this building at all. Like
it's so far to get to the goddamn net.
There. I know. I've lost plenty of finals there.
Okay. Here's a random question. What is your favorite hockey memory?
I mean, getting drafted probably is
Right
is
up
one
there.
of them. But to be honest, I'm actually thinking about maybe scoring a goal in my first preseason game. Actually playing for the Jersey Devils was probably something that comes close to that.
You played
So
in an
that's been,
exhibition game for the Devils and scored?
yeah, I played about 4 or 5 games. I remember scoring my first one, and then I got lost on the way back from the game because my head was completely in the clouds. I don't know where. I ended up in Philly almost, I think. Was supposed to go back to the hotel in West Orange and got on the wrong turnpike and ended up in Philly because I was just thinking about what just happened.
Yeah, you weren't focused.
No, I was not focused at all.
It
But
happens.
it's really so. I played in Madison Square Garden um against Rangers, and at the time was Lindros Fleury. Like I tried to hit Lindros across the middle with the head down. Like what was I thinking? I just bounced off him like a brick wall. I mean, back at these moments, and you think, oh my god, like how close was that?
It is neat. Like I guess yeah, when my career ended, I didn't think about the things I had done, and it wasn't until I was doing this that I guess appreciate some of the things I did in my career. Because when you're in it, you really are just doing it. You don't really think about what's all going on, right?
One regret I have is I haven't taken one picture with any of these guys because I sat there going right before it was going out for the first time on one of the preseason games, and I'm sitting there. On my left was Birbraer, on the right was Scott Stevens, and I'm thinking like,
You should have taken a
well,
fun selfie like I did.
yeah. Well, at the time we didn't have the smartphones,
No,
right? So
no,
like, didn't have any
tough to
pictures.
get
So I
pictures back
wasn't
in the day.
yeah, I wasn't gonna bring my Polaroid and just snapping pictures in camp.
Yeah,
Like, but I
I do
also
now.
didn't want to feel like I'm a tourist around here. Like I felt like I belong. I'm like I feel one of the boys. So I played it off cool. I'm like, oh, okay, buddy, yeah. Hey, Marty, yeah. Like, what's happening? You don't want to be like, oh, can I have a picture with you while we at it here? you know?
I totally understand. I remember when I went to Columbus's training camp and Sergei Fedorov got on a bicycle beside me in the locker room, and I was sweating. I was nervous. I'm like, I'm actually sitting beside Sergei Fedorov right now.
Yeah. The first day in camp, Lou Lamorello came up to me and he said, "Here's $20." I'm like, "Oh, thanks for what?" He said, "Go and get a shave." I was like, and that's all he said to me in 3 years.
Oh, I had a funny moment with him myself. Went to an Islanders Red Wings game, and my buddy from Landshut, Germany, Tom Kuhnhackl, was on the Islanders, but then he gets hurt and isn't on the road trip. So I had planned on getting to go down and meet the players after and see Tom, and then he wasn't there. So then my son's like, well, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, we're still going down. I know my way around a barn. And then uh, there was people waiting to go downstairs. Then we just joined the group and then they gave us passes and then we went down and I'm wearing a Cardiff Devils sweater and I'm with my son and we're standing with all the people and he's with the Islanders now. And then he's just eyeballing me like, why are you wearing a Cardiff Devils sweater with our family and friends? And then I got pictures with my son and all the players. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I didn't know anybody there.
Yeah, that's funny.
But he was eyeballing the shit out of me.
Yeah, he's a intimidating dude.
I was
I'm pretty
nervous.
sure. I'm pretty sure he's part of Italian mafia.
Well, when Matthew Barzell came out, I'm like, Colby, okay, he's not coming over here, so let's go get a picture with him, and then we're out of here. So then my son got a picture with Barzell, and then I was like, all right, see you, Lou.
Yeah.
I guess you never played with the goat, but I heard there's another testimonial coming up. Too
Which
bad,
goat?
Joey Martin.
Oh,
Yeah,
of
you never
course. I
played with
never
him.
play with him. I
It's too
wish I
bad.
played with him because he looks somebody that I would enjoy playing with.
You would,
Um,
unless they will never let you play on the same line, like
yeah.
me and him. I don't. They put us together for like one shift, and we almost scored, and then he never would do it again. I don't know
So
why. Maybe
that was
maybe
your
it's because
cup of
Lordo was
coffee,
a
eh?
right winger and I was a right winger, and somehow Lordo got to play with Joey all season long. Weird, eh?
Look what he turned Joey into.
I know, right? But whoever gets to go to that testimonial, I'm sure will have fun. I don't know who he's going to announce and win, but fingers crossed I get to go back to Cardiff this summer.
Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed. I haven't had a call yet, but we'll see.
Well, it'd be tough if you didn't play with him, right? Because when you've been on a team for 10 years, man, there is a lot of guys you'd go through.
Yeah, you might not make the lineup actually. Thinking about
Keepers.
it.
I know. I hope I do. Because I really liked playing with Joey, and I never got to play on the same line with him, but I knew exactly what type of teammate he was and person he was, and that's why I did spray paint myself as the GOAT and do the pregame speech at Wally night and rip my top off in the crowd because I really believe in him as a person and player, you know? So
I
hopefully I make the roster.
No, I think he resonates. What I have the impression of him. Every time I had interacted with him, he just seems like a solid dude,
Yeah.
and yeah, just kind of like an all arounder, solid with everything, hockey,
Yeah.
person.
Kind of the
Seems
way
to
he
be very
plays. I say
helpful.
people play hockey like their personalities. He does it all for the team and does it the right way. I'm
Yeah,
sick of talking about him nicely, you know? God, I better
yeah.
chirp him in the room next time.
Well, I'm sure you'll get a chance.
I'm thinking so. Anywho, what else do I
What
got here?
time is it? What time is it my time? Can you tell me? Because I don't have access to clock.
6.
Nice. I
Mm-hmm.
got half hour still
Okay,
before
well,
I take my kids to scouts.
Scouts. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to the real world soon too. This was a fun lunch hour, you know. I love this. One other small world one though was the last 2 seasons when you're still mucking it up here. You're with the Bristol Pit Bulls, eh?
Well, that was my other venture. You probably know Jamie Elson.
That's what I was gonna bring up, Jamae, because the year I hurt my knee, the owners brought up me being on the bench. And then because Lordo had Jamae and Franny on the bench, then they said they couldn't have another guy or something. So I was just the PP coach guy from the crowd and the pregame speaker. But I hadn't seen Jamae since. And I went back for one of the games and I was in the store where I would buy paint to paint myself for pregame speeches. And I was buying my paint and just happened to run into Jamae at the paint store. I still
Yeah,
haven't
so
talked to him yet. He's so busy that he just can't find the time to
he
talk to me for
is.
an hour, eh?
He is, but that just kind of sums him up. He is really busy. Like he puts his heart and soul into coaching. He does countless of hours of video. I don't know how that guy does it. That's something I don't have
Yuck.
in me.
Ew, me neither.
Yeah, and they're obviously they were fighting for the playoffs a couple of years ago, and one of the imports gone down, and they really needed a short kind of cover solution, and that was my fifth retirement coming out at the time.
You would have been having to do some
Um,
traveling to get to Bristol for every game or practice.
well, it's only like just over an hour, like an hour and 5 minutes, so it's not bad. Considering in Canada to go to the movies is probably minimum of an hour somewhere. I remember,
It's there's
you
not
know,
much around where
like
I am.
it wasn't too bad. But I was on the executive sort of schedule. Like I didn't practice. I would practice maybe like Thursday night once, and then just travel up for the game. Like
Yeah,
I just couldn't. I said to him straight away, like I can give you what I can give you.
right.
And that's what I've kind of been doing for the last 3 years.
Have
And he
you
ended up
played all
calling
the
me to
Canuck
follow
games?
most of them. Missed a couple of road games.
I understand.
Well, we said our agreement was no road games. I ended up playing all the road games pretty much.
um, your kids get to come watch you play too?
Yeah, well, that's another thing, right? Like it's in my doorstep. It's on my doorstep. My kid gets the chance to watch me play.
Yeah.
And the most pumped he is, Hendo made it happen for him the other game. He ended up being a mascot. So we were on the ice. My knees like going. I'm thinking, is this my last game? So it was a good kind of thing. He ended up doing warm up with us and then doing national anthem. He's absolutely buzzing. He's still talking about it. Wouldn't shut up about it.
So
So
he
that
plays
was
then.
nice of him. He's trying to. He thinks he's going to be Cardiff Junior Devil. So I'm in the middle of like putting him through all that now, but he's
That's
in the
cool.
very, very early beginning stages of it. I really tried so hard to discourage him from playing ice hockey, but I think I failed finally
Why did you try to discourage him?
because I look back on my life. I'm thinking like you don't want to go through this. I want you to have a real life and a
Yeah.
career. I was like, why would you do that? And then why would you have like 100 concussions and like that can't be good for you? The brain damage and body
But
breaking up and all that.
right. Yeah, it does take certain individuals to go through the things that we maybe went through in our careers, right?
Yeah.
Got to really
Yeah.
like it, I guess. But
Yeah.
talking about your son being out there with you, it brought back memories of when I first came back. Until the playoffs, I didn't participate in many road games, but I would play some home games, so I would have enough games in to play the playoffs with the Ripley Wolves I'm coaching now. And there was a game where my son got to come out and play in the intermission with all the other kids, and I get to take a picture on the ice while I'm still playing hockey, and he got to watch me. It's pretty neat when your kids get to watch it play hockey if you can still do it. I know I can't anymore, but
No, it was really cool. It was really cool. So thanks to Hendo for
Hendo
making it
knows how to
happen.
hockey, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He's a solid,
does.
another solid dude, you know. He
Yeah,
knows what
he's
he's doing.
okay. He's okay. I think it's so neat though that you guys have the logo on every jersey, and then I see the pictures they put up on their social media of all these kids that have Canuck jerseys now, and my logo's even on all their jerseys too.
Yeah, well then I no doubt they're probably listening to your stuff too, right? So
Better not swear anymore, right?
yeah.
Well, I hope I know you didn't play with Joey, but if I was invited to his game, hopefully I see you around Cardiff that weekend, because if I did go, I plan on having fun.
Yes, and there is an outside chance, like Dumb and Dumber, right? They're telling me there is a chance. There's a slim
Yeah,
chance
I'm right here in Cardiff. I know we didn't play together.
might be able to come out and potentially make it to Chippy Lane and stuff like that, but we'll
Right.
see.
Well, if you're going to do it, I mean, in the weekend of a testimonial, there will be some action at Chippy Lane, right?
There's always action at Chippy Lane.
There is always action at Chippy Lane. You're right about that. Well, thank you again for making the time for me. And I do really enjoy this. And I find it interesting that we never played together, but like I feel like we're buddies from doing this and then meeting you at testimonials. And those testimonials bring so many great people together to celebrate a friend. And I just think it's the neatest thing ever they got going on in the UK when this stuff goes on.
Yeah, it's a good tradition, isn't it?
It
And
really is.
like you said, we all speak hockey. And when you have conversation with who you're in the same page with, like you say, I feel like we did play together after
Yeah.
what few hours on the podcast.
That's what I love about this.
I
And then
feel exhausted now.
then I start caring about people, and then I'll be watching to see
Yeah.
if you're actually scoring for the Canucks and staying healthy. What a mess.
Yeah,
I'm starting
whatever.
to care about way too many people.
Yeah. You changed.
I have. And this has been another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Boom Boom and Wally.